A Different Continent by GuyInAlley. An alternate universe of Turtleme's beginning after the end. Reborn. Gray's point of view. As I began walking through the bright candlelit halls, I heard footsteps from behind me. I turned around to find a councilman who sported a white beard that reached down just past his shoulders and was wearing a gray robe.
"King Gray, heading back so soon?"
the man asked. "Of course. I wish to get up bright and early to resign my position," I said nonchalantly. He didn't seem to expect that response because his eyes went into shock, and soon into desperation as he tried to talk me out of it.
"But, Gray, you can't resign. We still need you to hold back our enemies, and without you, they will begin to make moves on us,"
the man said with a hint of anger and fear. "Unfortunately, I have already made my decision," I said, as I didn't wait for his response and resumed walking back to my bedroom.
"Don't think you can walk away that easily," the councilman shouted.
I continued walking, still paying him no mind. Once I had entered my bedroom, I went over to the large planed window to have my last view of the brightly lit city in the night sky before leaving the castle. I really will miss this view. It's the only thing I had to look forward to after a long day of work. I'm not sure where to go after this. Maybe back to the orphanage, where I was raised in alongside my two best friends, whose lives were destroyed by the conflict of this nation and another. I wish I had listened to him back then. Maybe things would have turned out differently. As I began reminiscing about old memories, I decided it was time to sleep, so I crawled into my bed and drifted off. I was having a pleasant dream about playing with the kids at the orphanage, and then suddenly, I found myself in total darkness, except for a blinding light. I never believed the whole light at the end of the tunnel folly, the phenomenon where people awoke from a near-death experience in cold sweat exclaiming, "I saw the light!" Yet, here I am at the supposed light, unable to do anything except drift towards it. Although, wouldn't this mean that I have died? And if so, who killed me? It was quite obvious somebody wasn't happy about my resignation, but the only person I told so far was a councilman, and he definitely doesn't have what it takes to do it himself. Well, I guess it doesn't matter now, since what's done is done, and I can't do anything but wait for this light to take me. As I began accepting my fate, I noticed that the light began flickering? I don't believe any person who's had this experience said it was flickering. Perhaps this means that I haven't died, and I'll begin waking up. As I held my newfound expectations, the light began getting closer and closer at a much faster rate than before, until I was fully immersed in it. The only thing I saw was blurriness. Thinking I had woken up, I began rubbing my eyes until I noticed that my hand felt unnaturally small. The blurriness faded as my eyes began to focus on a small hand with 5 stubby fingers. This couldn't be my hand, couldn't? Wasn't it just a dream? Doesn't a flickering light mean that it wasn't my time to go? As I repositioned my head, I noticed that I was laying in a crib on my backside, and it appears that somehow I have become a baby. Does this mean that the end of the tunnel is actually a woman's Actually, that isn't important right now. But if it is, then where is my mother? Where am I anyway? I frantically looked around the area until my eyes landed on other cribs, like mine. One of the cribs on my right held a baby with red eyes and a navy blue patch of hair on its head. As I turned my head to the left, I saw a man with horns wearing black robes with golden linings and holding some kind of syringe. He seemed to be surveying the cribs, taking blood from them, and testing them in some kind of machine. Is he a demon? Am I in hell? Could having this little functionality over my limbs be part of the torture? Although, I wouldn't be surprised if this was hell. After all, it's my fault my friends left me. As a demon was fast approaching my crib, I tried moving my arms and legs to no avail. I began to accept my fate of eternal torture. The demon had arrived at my crib, holding the syringe. He grabbed my arm, but I desperately tried to fight him off, which earned a chuckle from him. He stuck the syringe in my arm and took the blood sample to the machine. Whew. Although it was a bit painful, it wasn't so bad. I guess I was worried over nothing. Maybe it isn't a demon at all. The man put a drop of blood in the thin glass tube and put it under the machine. Beams of light were fired through the tube, and when it dissipated, I felt a chill down my spine at the voice coming from that demon.
Looks like we have one.